Yow's ladies and gentlemen, my name is Senior EVP34 and you are here on Senior EVP34 where the entertainment ever got so shark-toothed. And today I'm going to give you a special review of the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. I saw this film last night and wow, what a film. Just fantastic film. This is the second Hunger Games film I've seen in the cinemas and wow, what a fantastic film. So basically this review I'm just going to go down through the plot and just say what I gotta say about things and just pick out some positives and some negatives because this film wasn't all that perfect in my opinion. So let's get to it and let's start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, the film starts off with Katniss having a nightmare. She's in the facility, well, this weird facility that's inside District 13, and it's quite a good mood for the film, just because it's really dark, and it kind of reminds me of Alien if you think about it. Basically, the lead character, she's in this enclosed area. And then after just a few, I think at least a day or two in the hospital where she is. She gets introduced to District 13, and it's like a military kind of a place. It's full of weapons. It's full of children, women, soldiers, all that stuff. Philip Hoffman, who sadly died earlier this year, he portrays one of the characters in this. I forget his name. It's Plutchett or something like that. He's there, he's in District 13, and he seems to be heading a rebellion of some kind, which is quite cool. And Julianne Moore, she's the lady president or whatever she is, and she's in there, and she's also heading the rebellion. So you can tell there's quite a lot of tension when it comes to these two, because they're sort of moving back and forth. The tensions back and forth between them, seeing who's best and who's right and who's wrong. So it's quite good banter between these two. So basically Pulchar and the president, the Madam President, they both want Katniss to become the Mockingjay and lead the rebellion against the Capitol. And well, Katniss, she's a bit worried about it. She's a bit skeptical on it because there's no sign of Peter, and if Peter's alive, she wants basically them to rescue Peter, and then she's like, oh, I don't really care, and all that kind of stuff. And then they take her to District 12 where she used to live, and it's been bombed. Basically, it has been absolutely obliterated. I mean, the mood of this is just, I was quite a bit of shock because the mood of this is just terrifying because there's bodies everywhere. There's just bodies everywhere, and there's dogs and vultures feeding on them, and that I actually found was quite a powerful message, just because to President Snow, and basically that's all the people of District 12 were to President Snow. They were just bodies. That was it, bodies in his way, and he didn't care. He'd take everything from them. And that was pretty much it, and that's what I found quite powerful about that message. So basically, while Katniss, she's in District 12, basically, before they dropped her off, and they were like, but it doesn't matter. Basically, the rebels, they're hoping that Katniss will become the Mockingjay, and she eventually does after seeing everything. And she brings Prim's cat home, which is quite cool as well. There's a bit of humour between her and the cat, because the cat's like, I don't want to go home, I don't want to go home. Basically, not like that, which is quite funny. The cool thing about this film is that basically when we see a scene of President Snow getting his beard groomed. I mean, I'd love that personally if I grew a beard like Brian Blessed, but basically it gets a bit of a cut. There's a bit of bloodshed, starting to weaken. Basically, that's a sign that the Capitol is weakening itself, which is quite an also powerful message, and it's very symbolic as well because it shows that the rebellion has a chance to overthrow the Capitol, which I find quite nice. And that's just really nice to see that the rebels will win this war, basically. In addition, I can just basically say that some characters that I like were the camera crew, and basically, they were really good actors. I mean, you'd got people like, I think I'm trying to can't find him. Well, basically, you got some quite cool people in there, and the camera crew were really good actors, because I felt that they brought a bit of propaganda to the film, and that's what they were doing. They were making a propaganda film in which the Madam President wanted, because she thought the rebels would get hyped about it, and I thought it was quite cool. But they didn't like the actual propaganda film in the film, because basically they were like, oh, Katniss, she doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel organic, and that's pretty much what Haymitch says. And Haymitch reprises his role in this film, and he's quite a good character. He's quite humorous as well, because he says being sober sucks, which I kind of find quite funny of this. And this film's got a lot of some nice humour in it. Not too much, just enough, just a tad bit, just like a pinch of salt, which is quite good. And Haymitch brings some of that, and he says that they need to get her into battle to bring out that true warrior spirit of her for the propaganda video, which I find just perfect. It makes so much sense, and for Haymitch to do that just makes it even better, because it shows that him being sober is not him being organic, because we don't know him as being sober. We like him when he's drunk. And Katniss, she's a warrior, and her being organic means the propaganda video will be even better. So you get that, basically. And it is a fantastic idea from Haymitch, and I just love the idea overall. And for the propaganda video and for battle, basically, Katniss, she gets this nice armor that really, in my opinion, would be Saiyan armor if they ever did a live-action Dragon Ball Z film, and it just looks so badass. I mean, I personally want this armor for male, because just the look of it, I mean, I've got it on screen right now, it's just fantastic. I mean, the back of it as well, I mean, you can't see the back of it now, but it's like feathers, downy feathers, and oh my god, it just looks so beautiful. It looks fantastic. It really fits her character as well. And basically, they go to this hospital to see the wounded, and I think it's District 8, if I believe, and they're just basically there, and then everybody stands up and they like do the classic, and yeah, she's just in awe, and then that's when some tragic stuff happens. Hospital, Katniss, she comes out of the hospital with Gale and the camera crew, and Gale is played by a bloke by the name of Liam Hemsworth, and he's a really good actor in this. He's actually one of my favourite characters in this. And they come out, and then all of a sudden these bombers from the Capitol just come on, and they just bomb this hospital, and it's just so tragic, because I mean, they're bombing it, and Katniss is like, they're bombing the hospital, we gotta get over there, and she takes it down. She takes the bombers down with some explosive arrows she was given, with a new bow and arrow, which is just amazing. I mean, it fits the character as well, because it's just black, and it's quite tragic as well, because she's like, get them out of there, but nobody can do anything. And the thing is, President Snow, he is trying to break her, basically. And then she comes out with the line, I've got a message for President Snow, if we burn, you burn with us. And that classic line, it just cements the film, in my opinion. I mean, it just cries out, you want war, we're going to give it to you. And that's just basically Katniss saying, I'm going to rip President Snow's head off when I see him, which is quite powerful. Basically, and throughout the film, Katniss watches some videos of Peter Malarkey's kind of supporting the Capitol, but then again, you can tell that he's under a lot of pressure. I mean, he's dressed in some night white clothes, and I mean, what he says is, I protected Katniss, and I urge everyone to stop doing what they're doing now, and that's causing chaos. And everyone's just against it. All the rebels are against it, and then Katniss is like, we gotta save him, and then the Madam President and the other guy's just like, we're not gonna save him. And then she goes off and says, oh, you're not gonna save him. Well, guess what? You're gonna have to find another Mockingjay. And eventually, basically, like, okay, we'll save him at the best time we can. And yeah, and basically in the film as well, we get some nice moments between Katniss and Gale, and it's quite good. And then you also get some emotional bits when Katniss watches Peter on the screen on the television, which is quite saddening as well. Another cool thing is that basically, there's quite a good scene where District 13 is attacked once again by some bombers, and it's just loads of squadrons of bombers. They're bombing everything, and they all go down into these bunkers. Katniss has to go back up into the facility to get Prim, who's gone after a cat, and it's just hectic. I mean, it's tense. It's quite a good scene, and then we get quite a good scene where Katniss is just talking to the president, and she is really peed off with him. She is just, I don't know how to describe how angry she is, but at the same time, Gale and this other team of 5 rebels have gone in to save the tributes at the tribute center, and then it turns out it's a trap. And throughout the scene, I was just thinking, someone's going to deliver the line, "It's a trap." And guess who delivers it? Katniss. After she realizes that President Snow was toying with them, which is quite funny. And basically, after all these, as these bombings and the heist is taking place to find the tributes, I think his name is Fleck or something like that. The guy who a lot of people are saying, oh, he's going to be Aquaman. In the film, that guy, another tribute who's saved alongside with Katniss, he's distracting by doing this propaganda video saying, oh, District 13 is alive and well, and he's going through all this stuff about President Snow, and it's just like, really, you're going to do this? And then, the guys end up coming back, and it's hell. I mean, the bad guy tribute is like, she looks like a freaking skeleton. She's like one of the most disturbing characters I can see. The other one who's interested in Flick or whatever his name is, I don't remember the character's name. He just seemed a bit useless in my opinion. But just don't matter. But the end, and Peter's around, but then he attacks Katniss, which is. It really it made me jump, and basically he strangles her to near death before what's his face, I forgot who got her off, but and then she wakes up with a cast around her neck, and then Madam President's like giving a speech, and then then Katniss goes to see Peter who's being held down, restrained, and then that's the end of the film. It just goes black and the credits roll. Now, right now, you may be thinking, what do I have to say about this film? Well, I just want to go over some of the negatives now. Some of the negatives I felt were the dialogue. I mean, it was really intense dialogue. I mean, it was really good dialogue. Every bit of it was good. Although, it was a bit slow at the start. I mean, the lack of soundtracks sometimes was just a bit painful. I mean, you're like listening to them, but you're just listening and listening and listening. And you're like, oh, come on, can we just move on? And when the action gets to it, I mean, if I remember correctly, in battle, Katniss only shoots like 1 arrow. And that's it. 1 arrow in battle. I mean, 1 arrow when she was testing, so that's 2 arrows throughout the film. But 1 arrow. Come on, guys. That's like 1 arrow for every hour of this film. And this film is 2 hours and 3 minutes long. So, I was expecting some decent arrow action in this. I mean, she nearly shoots this deer, but it's like, the deer can't be arsed, so she can't be arsed, so it's like, oh, why even bother? And that's another thing, whenever she did that scene just really annoys me. I mean, you had the chance to kill that deer. I mean, maybe it's different in the books, something like that. I've read the first book, I've not read the second, third, or whatever, fourth book or whatever. Another thing I didn't like, I felt the lack of Peter in this film was just annoying, but then again it makes sense. But I felt that that Peter was a really awesome character. I like this character, and I just felt that something was missing when he wasn't around. And you know what? It doesn't matter because, well, I mean, even though it's a little gripe of mine, I guess people are like, oh well, that's part of the story. Well, I'm still a bit shook by it. And another thing, there's a scene where Gale's like, oh, Peter's got to see what they did to District 12. Well, guess what? He can't. He can't. It doesn't make any sense. Why? Why even say that? And he's like seconds later, he's like, oh, because he hasn't seen it. Well, what? That doesn't make sense. Now, you think at the end of the day I might be hating this film. No, I'm not hating this film. I mean, there's a lot of positives. I love the acting. I mean, I would say this is my second favourite out of the lot, but I'd say it's probably the weakest so far, just because of some of the dialogue and the lack of action in there's a lot of action. There's actually quite a bit of action in it, but there's not enough to quench my thirst. I mean, in the trailers they showed some decent action of war, and I was like, oh, we're going to get a nice war film in this. I mean, the dam exploding was quite cool when, basically when they had to black out the Capitol, which was quite intense, and that kind of reminded me of Godzilla in a way. And that was quite decent. The CGI in this film, oh my god, it was grand. I loved it. I loved the CGI. I can't get enough of CGI just because you can do pretty much anything with it. I mean, everything can be CGI in this film, but no. But the film itself was a really good film. I mean, it's such a good film. I mean, I'd recommend everybody to watch this film if you have not watched it. I mean, it's just so fantastic. I mean, even though I've just gone down a list of some gripes and stuff, but basically overall, I would have to say that this film, this film out of 10 in my opinion, I would have to get a solid 8 in my opinion, which is a really good film in my opinion. So just if you ever get the chance to pick this up, pick it up on DVD. Maybe pick it up on Blu-ray. I'm not gonna pick it. This might be the only Hunger Games I'm gonna pick up on DVD, because the rest of the Hunger Games I've seen on DVDs that my sister or my mum or whoever's bought them. And this is probably the only film I'm gonna pick up on DVD that's in the Hunger Games franchise. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am signing out, so Yowzers out, ladies and gentlemen, and goodbye.